Alexander. Jordan Schultz finds Alexander Jeffrey, but the Rockets punch it out and take possession inside the red zone. Johnny Scott reels in the high snap, evades pressure, and would look to go deep, but he would be intercepted in the end zone by Brody Montgomery. A few plays into the drive, Schultz connects with Logan Jenkins, who takes it the rest of the way for a 47-yard touchdown. Spartans up 7-0. Now let's speed this one up, Jacob, because on the ensuing kickoff, Bretton Breach would take it 89 yards to the crib for the house call to tie it up at 7 going into half. Both teams would share scores in the second half, but Alexander would pull away in the end, going on to win 28-13. Alexander now extends their winning streak to 3 as they prepare to take on a TVC powerhouse in the Vinton County Vikings.
A big second half performance, Jack, but tell me, who are the key players leading the Spartans into battle?
Jacob, it all starts with their QB1. Jordan Schultz showed off the arm strength all night, going 16 for 34 with 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Whenever he was faced with pressure, he proved his elusiveness, avoiding tackles, buying more time, and finding the open receiver. And 2 of his key targets, Logan Jenkins and Brody Montgomery. Between the 2 of them, they tallied 156 of Schultz's 200 yards, and they also snagged 1 touchdown. Between the 3 of them, the Spartans have a serious air attack.
Now, Jack, where does Alexander stand among the rest of the TVC now?
Well, Jacob, that's a tough question because while they are 4-1, all their wins have come from winless opponents. While they might currently hold that top spot, it'll be an interesting matchup between them and either Nelsonville, York, or Vinton County. Jacob, next week will be a big test to see where Alexander truly sits in the TVC Ohio.
Yeah, Jack, we'll have to keep a careful eye on how the Spartans match up against the rest of the top of the TVC. Thanks for the great work. Alexander holds on to their spot in the TVC Ohio. They're joined by Vinton County, who also moved up to 2-0 in conference tonight. The Nelsonville York Buckeyes got a non-conference win over Oak Hill, leaving them in the 3 spot. And with Meigs beating River Valley, they are right on the Buckeyes' tail. Wellston rounds out the bottom of the conference alongside Athens after their loss to VC. Those Vikings will be tough to beat in the TVC, but one surprise powerhouse in Ross County made it look easy. Zach Mothersbaugh joins us to talk about Unioto and their road to 5-0 on the season.
Yeah, Mata, the Shermans did what they've been doing all season. They rolled into Piketon and ran wild for a full 48 minutes. Over the last 10 years, the Shermans are 8-2 in their matchups with the Red Streaks. All 8 wins came in a row on a streak that ended last year with the 58-31 win by Piketon. But it's going to be tough for Piketon to repeat without their starting quarterback. Allen Austin was injured in their last game and won't be able to suit up for 2 to 3 weeks. This means the quarterback combo of Brent McGuire and Luke Gullion will need to keep up with Unioto's high-powered offense, as the Shermans have posted at least 48 points in their last 3 games. This week in SVC conference play, it's the undefeated Shermans against the Piketon Red Streaks. And it looks good early for Unioto as Newton Hoops drops one in the bucket to Maddox Fox, who sheds a tackle and takes it all the way to the end zone for the 2nd time early on. Now, up 21-0, the Shermans show they can make splash plays on both sides of the ball when Luke Gullion attempts a toss, but Andrew Griffin is already there to break it up and give Unioto possession. A couple plays later, backed up on 3rd and 23, Unioto gives it back to their workhorse, Matt Griffin. Griffin breaks off the left side on a trick play and is off and running, taking it all the way down the sideline and outracing the safety to put Unioto up 29 after the 2-point conversion. And that's where it would stay until the end of the first half. And Unioto would keep it even from there, leaving Piketon with a 36-6 win.
Now, Zach, these guys are hanging enough points to win multiple games, let alone one every time. Who's the main guy that this offense runs through, and how does it really work?
Well, Mata, they run it through a lot of different guys. They have 3, Matt Griffin, Casey Dre, and Corbin Dement, all over 25 carries on the season. And it seemed like each guy broke at least 2 tackles every time they were given the ball. For their passing game, it's Newton Hoops to Maddox Fox or Blake Hoops almost all the time. The Shermans like to run an open passing game that will include some screens, and Hoops and Fox have an easy time getting behind the defense for Newton Hoops to drop it in.
Now, Unioto seems to be on cruise control in the SVC. Who's left standing in their way for that conference title?
Well, Unioto has looked significantly better than all their opponents so far, but that should end soon as they're going to have a showdown against Zane Trace. Both teams could easily be undefeated at that time, and the winner might just take the SVC from there.
Now, that Sherman defense held Piketon to just 6 points tonight. What did that game plan look like for them to do that?
Because the Red Streaks were without their starting quarterback, they stuck to a lot of runs and short plays. This means the main plan for the Shermans was to make tackles, and they did just that, as Piketon wasn't able to break many plays out.
Well, Unioto is now 5-0 on the season, and it's going to be tough to take them down. Thanks for the great work, Zach. The fall from grace has been tough for Piketon, and they are at the bottom of the conference for now, alongside Huntington and Southeastern. Adena falls to the middle after they lost to Paint Valley, but Westfall moves up behind them after beating Southeastern. But with Unioto, Zane Trace, and Paint Valley all picking up wins tonight, they are tied for first place in the SVC. In fact, Unioto and Zane Trace are currently state ranked in their divisions by the Associated Press, and they held their footing tonight with comfortable victories. Now that wasn't the case for Circleville last week. After a tough loss to the top dogs in the MSL, the Circleville Tigers fell out of the rankings, but they look to stay competitive in the league while the rest of the pack fights to upstage Bloom Carroll. Tonight, a battle of those contenders between Circleville and Logan Elm. We welcome in Ethan Sargent.
Thanks, Mata. In a jumbled conference, these two squads are among a ton of teams that are looking to challenge the Bulldogs. Logan Elm and Circleville have both endured some seasons that they'd rather forget. Circleville won just 2 games over their past 2 seasons. Logan Elm had a 3-7 2021 campaign. However, both schools have turned it around in 2022, as the Braves have matched their win total from last season and the Tigers have already exceeded it. Last week, Circleville was even state ranked, but after falling 42-6 to Bloom Carroll, the Tigers dropped out of the rankings and were looking to prove themselves tonight. And it was a perfect night for football in the 7-4-0, and the students were ready. I, for one, would absolutely love to hear the context behind this sign, and that just goes to show the bad blood in the backyard brawl, as this game was a street fight. Logan Elm drives it down to the Circleville 1 on their opening drive, and Blayton Reed breezes in for 6, Braves up early. Jude Blair just has nowhere to go, as the Logan Elm front was dominant all night. It would get better for the Braves, as on their next scoring drive, it was all about power. Quarterback Aaron Walters this time, motoring it in from the 1 to extend the lead to 14. Circleville defense would tighten it up in the second quarter. They'd snag a couple sacks on Walters, and they'd set up the offense with prime field position. A few first downs later, and the Tigers are in business. Hang on, though. They're going to challenge their interleague Corso. Not so fast, says Logan Elm, as Scott Mote's pass is deflected at the line by Romuald Weber and picked off by Tanner Holbert to halt the Tiger train. Defense, the name of the game for the Braves, as they roll 21-0. Logan Elm dominates all facets tonight in a big-time win to send their statement to the rest of the MSL.
So, Ethan, they pitched a shutout on defense tonight. What would you say keeps that engine running for them?
You know, Mata, they just limited that offensive momentum for Circleville. They didn't allow any Tiger first downs until their last drive of the half, which ultimately ended in that interception. Perfect game plan execution by the Braves.
Now, you mentioned earlier that dynamic duo in the backfield, Walters and Reed. How important are they for that Braves offense?
You know, Mata, it might sound like a law firm, but Walters and Reed run the show for Logan Elm. Blayton Reed has this uncanny ability to break arm tackles, and he just wore down that Circleville front. Walters, no slouch either, as he can toss the rock, and he can tuck it and run as well, and he's not afraid of contact. It is a powerful two-headed monster.
Okay, Ethan, but we can't forget about Circleville. After the 3-0 start, they're now 3-2. What do they need to do to bounce back?
Mata, it starts on the offensive side of the football. The defense has kept it tight in the last 2, but the offense has put up just 6 points in 2 weeks. While Circleville is much improved from recent seasons, there is still work to do on offense for this team to be a factor. Circleville did also move up to Division III, so their road to the playoffs just got a lot more difficult, but on the other side, it's a very impressive win for the Logan Elm Braves.
Thanks for the great work, Ethan. And so Logan Elm hands Circleville their second conference loss also in the MSL Buckeye. We saw Bloom Carroll take down Amanda Clear Creek and Taze Valley defeat Liberty Union, leaving the division wide open for anyone. Hamilton Township is still in the race after winning against Fairfield Union, as they are right behind the Vikings. The Tigers, Falcons, and Aces round out the bottom of the conference. That's a wrap on conference play for now, but in the MVL, the frontrunners of each division went at each other. MVL reporter Tim Hanna joins us to tell us about the action.
Mata, the MVL Super Bowl is here. The top 2 teams from both divisions. It's the dynamic new Lexington offense versus that hard-nosed Tri-Valley defense. So far this season, the new Lexington Panthers have had their share of surprising victories. We saw them take down West Muskingum and Maysville, plus they upset the John Glenn Muskies in Week 3. They're now the 5th-ranked team in Division 4, according to the latest AP polls. For Tri-Valley, it's hard to overlook their Week 3 win over Jackson, and after shutting out Maysville last week, their defense is as good as ever. They've gone 63 straight games without allowing more than 40 points, and Coach West says the secret to their defense is speed and physicality.
For us, it's running to the ball. That's kind of what we've hung our hat on this year. Offensively, we got to get an identity. Right now, we just don't have one. we've struggled to run the football. We've turned the ball over in the pass game. So we've just got to find something that we like, whether it be in the run game or pass game, and go with it. And that's what we're working to do this week.
The stage was set for the MVL Super Bowl tonight in New Lexington, and things got off to a fast start. First play from scrimmage, Lucas Ratliff's pass is bobbled and intercepted by Chris Garzis, taking it all the way down to the New Lex 2. That sets up Hansel Holmes for a 2-yard touchdown, and the Scotties take the 7-0 lead. Ensuing Panthers drive, Ratliff lets the ball get away from him, and it's picked off this time by Thomas Williams. But the Panthers would continue to fight. Now into the second quarter, who else but Hunter Rose? Rose puts it in from 2 yards out. The 2-point attempt is no good, and it's 7-6 Scotties. New Lex back on the goal line, and this time Ratliff finds Tatum Topp. Once again, the 2-point attempt is no good, and the Panthers would head into the half up 12-5. First drive of quarter 3, and Max Lyle finds Ashton Seinsbaugh to reclaim the lead for the Scotties as they hold out to win 23-12. One thing that stands out is the unusual performance from star running back Hunter Rose. Rose has been the workhorse running back for the Panthers all season, and tonight was just a different story.
Okay, Tim, but you have to tell me, how are the Scotties able to contain Hunter Rose tonight?
Mata, this Scotties front seven is legit. They virtually eliminated the run game today. And Coach West told us earlier this week that sprinting 11 guys to the ball on every play is one of the strengths of this team, and they definitely showed that tonight. Hansel Holmes and the Scotties defense swarmed the New Lex rushers and created a brick wall of defenders.
Now, Tim, do you think it's safe to say Tri-Valley is the clear favorite in the NBL Big School Conference?
Absolutely. With this win tonight, they've separated themselves from the rest of the teams in the Big School division. But keep your eye on the Sheridan Generals. They took care of business tonight against John Glenn, and that sets up a monumental matchup in Week 9. They should have no problem returning to the top of the NBL this season if they can keep things rolling like they did tonight, Mata. New Lex will have a chance to bounce back next week against Coshocton, and Tri-Valley will have a tough test as they take on the Morgan Raiders.
For sure. Thanks for the great work, Tim. Fans at home, you guys got that game wrong, with Tri-Valley only taking home just 42% of the vote. And remember, you can vote on our Instagram page on Thursday night for who you think will win the games we cover. Now, on to a game our fans thought would be a close contest, with Jackson taking 52% of the vote for this matchup. So let's get right into this heated out-of-conference battle. We welcome reporter Aiden Crowley, who stuck around to watch it all go down. But Aiden, before we jump into the action, the Pirates must be excited to return to the Crow's Nest.
You're absolutely right, Mata. Wheelersburg could not be happier to be back in Ed Miller Stadium. And in typical Berg fashion, they're off to a hot start. It just took a long road to get there. After their Week 1 loss against the Ironton Fighting Tigers, the Pirates have been across the map. Week 2, they packed the bus and took a trip 113 miles to take on the McNicholas Rockets. Their next two are across state lines in Kentucky for a total of 322 miles traveled. In that time, the Pirates righted the ship going 3-0, but tonight they had a tall task against the Jackson Ironmen. The Pirates aren't coming home to a welcome sight. Jackson rolls into town coming off a huge win over the Western Brown Broncos. With the dub, the Ironmen improved to 500, but don't let that 2-2 record fool you. They've had a brutal out-of-conference schedule, and the Pirates are just another test for Jackson. Just a season ago, the Pirates failed to convert on a game-winning 2-point conversion and lost in OT, so Berg came in with revenge on their mind. Early on, the Pirates defense stood tall by making the Ironmen one-dimensional. This set the Pirates up in ideal field position, and they were able to capitalize with a chip-in field goal, 3-0 Pirates. Another field goal late, and the Pirates would carry a 6-0 lead into the break, but you knew this Jackson team would not go down without a fight. The Ironmen marched down the field and punched it in with a Nolan Johnson 5-yard run, 9-7 Pirates. Berg responded with another field goal, but that didn't slow the Ironmen momentum. On the next drive, they've been setting this one up since the first half. Fake quarterback run, and Winters pulls it back to fire a dime in stride to Cam Wolford, who takes it 70 yards to the house, and just like that, Jackson's on top 13-12. And for good measure, the senior quarterback throws a dagger again to his man Wolford to let you know Winters is coming. The Ironmen storm back to make a statement, 20-12. And Mata, this looked like a completely different Ironman team in the second half.
It looked like Wheelersburg had the momentum going into halftime.
Yeah, but the Ironmen made the adjustments in the locker room.
Aiden, Jackson has been proficient on offense, but tonight they couldn't really find their rhythm.
Yeah, Mata, Wheelersburg's style of play generates a lot of long drives. Combine that with their suffocating defense, and the Ironmen were at a loss to string together offense in the first half. Winters extended plays with his feet, but just like this huge Creed Warren swat, the Pirates were all over the ball tonight.
But Jackson was able to make adjustments at halftime. Now, Aiden, what changed for this Ironman team?
Well, Mata, I think a major thing that shifted was Jackson's play calling. They did all the hard work setting up the run in the first half, and it paid off with huge play-action passes.
With the loss, Wheelersburg drops to 3-2. Would you say they are still favorites for an SOC crown, Aiden?
Yeah, Mata, don't let this loss fool you. I would say the Pirates still look poised to repeat, but if I had to pick one dark horse team, it would have to be the Portsmouth West Senators. Get your popcorn ready for that Week 10 matchup that could decide the SOC.
Yeah, Aiden, the Pirates will face another tough test next week, taking on Minford at home, continuing SOC play. Thanks for the great work, Aiden. Game of the week is still ahead, but we've also got reporters at 5 other games around the region providing digital content. Senior reporter Chloe G. Workman is in studio to give us a sneak peek in our digital rundown.
Thanks, Jacob. While there is a lot of exciting matchups ahead, there is one story that shows true brotherhood. The Bel Air community was left in shock this past week. On Thursday, September 8th, Big Red senior Isaac Salva went to the hospital after a minor car accident. After some testing, he was diagnosed with leukemia. On Sunday, a group of his teammates paid him a visit at J.W. Ruby Memorial Hospital. Salva surprised the Big Reds yesterday at practice in preparation for their game against Cambridge. Tonight, the Cambridge community showed a great gesture by giving all the money earned in the 50-50 raffle to the Salva family.
That's such a class move. Can't thank Cambridge enough for that. This is something that's bigger than the game, that brings us all together. Sadly, it had to be for one of our players, but it shows kids' priorities in life, and for them to donate the money like that, can't say thank you enough.
Now jumping in on the action, this is the first conference matchup between the Bel Air Bulldogs and the Cambridge Bobcats. Now Bel Air was able to rally around Isaac and bring home that win. While Cambridge was able to jump out and score first, the Big Reds made some noise. Our next game is Shenandoah at Unioto. Now both teams finished bottom of their divisions last year, and they're both having a great start to their season with both of them 4-0. During their showdown, Unioto proved that they were here to play. They had this game in the bag at halftime, scoring 41 total points. They didn't allow a single score the rest of the game, and they took this one 49-20. And we have yet another 4-0 showdown between Barnesville and River. These two teams are the front-runners for the Mid-Ohio Valley League. Barnesville looking to repeat their title, but River is on the come-up. This game was neck and neck through the third until Tayson Starr with a touchdown opened the floodgates for Barnesville. This puts Barnesville in the driver's seat for an MOVL title. And these next two teams are playing for a chance at the MVL Big Schools Conference title. After losing some key players, John Glenn has struggled on the offensive front, and this game proved it just that. It was separated by only one touchdown all game long, but then Caden Sheridan had a breakdown touchdown to seal the deal for the Generals. And finally, Yaya Academy in Portsmouth. Under the new head coach, Yaya Academy has had to defy all odds this season, and now they're starting out 5-0. This game was absolutely electric, and the Blue Devils pushed through until the end. With 50 seconds left, Portsmouth was up by just 1 point when Caleb Stout kicked a clutch field goal for the Blue Devil win. We've got some exciting things ahead, but if you want to see a full breakdown on the games, make sure you follow our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Gridiron Glory, and check out our website at woub.org/gridiron. If you want to see some behind-the-scenes footage and a chance to see some highlights, make sure you check out our TikTok, also at Gridiron Glory.
What a huge win that was for Gallia Academy in the league that has been nothing but competitive, Chloe.
Yeah, Jacob, no kidding. They are certainly making a name for themselves this season. Now let's get a closer look at the OVC because it is a dogfight right now for that crown. First, you have the undefeated reigning champs, the Ironton Tigers. There's also Gallia Academy and Colgrove, who are both still undefeated as well. Both of these teams are backed by stellar offenses. You also can't count out those Fairland Dragons. I mean, yeah, they had a tough loss earlier in the season to Ironton, but hey, that was early, like I mentioned, and they're getting stronger each week, and I think they have a straight shot at second place.
Now, people have been doubting those Gallia Academy Blue Devils. What do you think they can do in the OVC race?
Yeah, Jacob, doubting them, they have. And I mean, they proved it tonight that they are not going down without a fight. If you want to get past them, you're going to have to get past Brody Falluer. I mean, he has done a great job spreading that wealth between his receivers all season long, and they're going to have to keep this up when they take on Fairland next week.
But talking about Fairland, who do you think is really leading that Fairland team?
They have Steeler Leap making moves on them on both offense and defense. I mean, he has had 19 tackles so far this season, as well as a pick 6. Now, I mentioned earlier they had that tough loss, but if they want to keep their eyes on second, they're going to have to utilize Leap in that offense, especially when they start to face Gallia Academy and Colgrove.
Now, talking about Colgrove, I hear they have a stud running back, if you've been saying. Tell me about him.
You're exactly right. I mean, Chase Hall has shown no mercy. I mean, he's ran for over 1,100 yards already this season, and it seems like every time he touches the ball, he scores. In order for the Hornets to win, they're going to have to keep this up, especially when he starts facing these bigger defensive lines.
Exactly, and now we'll finally go to the reigning OVC champs, the Ironton Tigers. What do you think it takes to get past a team like that?
I mean, it is without a doubt this team is talented, but you're not only going to have to shut down Ty Perkins, you're also going to have to get past Trevor Carter on that line. And I mean, hey, you can't forget about Jaquez Keys, who has been a force on the ground for the Tigers all season long. This is going to be a tough team to face.
The team tasked with facing Ironton next week is the Chesapeake Panthers. As we've already mentioned, Gallia Academy and Fairland will face off to put one team in position to dethrone the Tigers. Meanwhile, Portsmouth will look to maintain their newfound momentum and close things out with a win next week against Cole Grove. And finally, South Point and Rock Hill face off, both teams still looking to get things going. Here we go. It's time for our game of the week, which we will have huge implications for the title in the TVC Hawking. Reporter Haley Hollinger joins us now to take us through it.
Thanks, Jacob. Both Eastern and Waterford were looking for a win tonight in their first conference games of the year. And the tension between these two teams is decades thick, but there may be a new era on the horizon for this rivalry and for the Eastern football program. The Eagles came into this game 4-0, looking for 5, and they haven't started a season like this since before the 21st century. The Eastern team has a new head coach, new traditions, a newfound sense of community, and that's partially because of Coach Jackson. He's helped create a team media day, the Eagle Walk tailgate parade, new fundraisers and pep rallies to get the players and public involved. It's all backed by his emphasis on discipline, effort, and the team message, win the play. And for anyone who's been saying that Reedsville isn't a football town, you may want to think again.
Seems like the case, Haley, but of course we've had our eyes set on this game for the past week. Now let's get through this game of the week preview.
Coaching is teaching, and teaching is coaching. Those two professions go hand in hand. O-line, are you tougher than their D-line? That's what you got to be thinking. I'm tougher than that dude. I'm driving him out of there. If I can get kids to do more than what they think they can, if I can get them to do the right thing, then that's what I'm about. Believe in it and give all you got right here. All right, let's go.
It's not exactly about being a champion on the football field, and I think Coach does a great job of displaying it. It's about being a champion of life. 4-0, who cares? Next game. Our goal right now is the TVC, and that's what we want to win. So we're going to focus on winning that one game at a time. It doesn't matter who we play, where we play them. We're going to give it all we got, and we're going to win.
It's their league opener, it's our league opener, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what are you all expecting? That you're going to go up to their house and they're just going to lay down and they're going to let you have it? No, they're going to fight. Good job, good job, good job. Good job, good effort. Hey, you all got control of it. It's all effort. Let's go. That's who you got control of is effort. Let's go.
1, 2, 3.
Champions!
Now, Haley, it seems like building leaders and stuff is really important for Eastern, and it really flows into the way they've been playing football.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's really fascinating to see the steps taken before the game and how they play out. Like tonight, the Eagles and the Cats wasted no time getting down to business. Waterford had perfectly powerful possessions in the first quarter, and with a minute left, the Wildcats' Jake Panelides threw it up to Landon Flaherty, scoring the first points of the game, Wildcats 6-0. In the second quarter, Eastern began to show some life. The Eagles' running game struggled, but it didn't stop them from advancing. On a 2nd and 2, Eagles' Brady Yonker handed the rock to Riley Barrett, who punched it in to give Eastern a 1-point lead. But that just made Panelides mad. He took the ball into his own hands for a series of drives before rushing the ball 20 yards and to the house. Better keep that in mind next time because you do not want to see this guy get ticked off. Next possession, Panelides throws a 39-yard dime to Landon Flaherty. Panelides would then pitch it to Dylan Taylor for 2 more points. Wildcats going up 22-7, and both teams would score once within the last 4 minutes of the fourth, but the majority of the second half was stalling from both parties. Final score 29-13.
It sounds like it was the Wildcats' determination that won out tonight, Haley.
Yeah, Jacob, determination, leadership, and physicality were really what made the difference.
The Wildcats played quite a game. What stood out to you that will be important as we start to think about conference titles?
Well, every single burst of momentum circled back to Jake Panelidis. The first time he saw Eastern score, he made it clear he wasn't going to let that happen again, and he was an example of pure determination. And if there aren't any openings, he wasn't scared to do that himself. He isn't just a playmaker for this team, he really is a leader, and he showed that leadership on the field tonight, so it'll be interesting to see how he continues to lead his team throughout this season.
Now, Trimble may be 0-5 to start the year, but 4 straight conference titles is no joke. What should Waterford look out for and improve upon before their Week 9 game with Trimble?
Well, if there's one aspect of this game where Trimble's most threatening, it's definitely their defense. This team might be young and they don't have their offense running the way I'm sure they want it to yet, but they really do go hard on defense. Waterford plays a really physical game, and they can maintain that mindset and momentum. We could see a changing of the guard.
Until then, it's all eyes on Eastern against Trimble in Week 7. Thanks, Haley. And that's all the time we have for you tonight, but we will be back next week with more high school football action. Remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and woub.org/gridiron for video recaps and more written content. And remember, there is nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Support comes from Ohio's 529 plan, College Advantage, the tax-free way to save for education after high school. Ohio's 529 plan is accepted nationwide and is a resource for college savings. Information at collegeadvantage.com. Additional support from Donato's Pizza, featuring pizza, subs, salads, and catering from their Athens location at 688 East State Street. Information at donatospizza.com or 740-59